My name is Becky Popelka. I've been involved with the District 153 since I've been a resident of Homewood, which is since 2013. I have my oldest daughter is in 8th grade at James Hart, and my younger daughter is in 3rd grade at Churchill. My niece and nephew also live in Homewood as well, and both of them attend Willow in 2nd grade and kindergarten. So we have representation all 3 of the schools right now within our family. I have personally been involved with the district, as a member of PTA. I've had the opportunity to, serve on the Willow Wild Cart, so children probably know me from there. Also helping out at Churchill, and currently serving at the Homewood Parent Music Association. I've been a member of that since we moved and had a student in the district. But I last year served as treasurer of PMA and am currently the president of the Homewood Parent Music Association.
Hi, my name is Christine Scully. I grew up in the Homewood-Flossmoor area, and I moved to Homewood with my family in 2017. I've been involved with the district since my daughter started at Willow. She's now a 5th grader at Churchill, and I have a 2nd grade son at Willow. I'm always just trying to be involved with volunteer opportunities. Last year, I was involved with the PTA. I was the Churchill building rep, so I coordinated between the PTA and the middle school, and I don't know if it's the middle school and Churchill. So I got to know a lot of people over at Churchill last year doing that. I also have gotten involved with coaching my daughter's softball team and subbing with my son's baseball team when needed. So you get to meet a lot of different kids at the district that way too.
Hello, my name is Broderick Booth. I've been a resident of Homewood for 12 years now. I worked at the high school, Homewood-Flossmoor, for about 12 years. I've coached Homewood baseball for 10 years. I have an 8th grader, a rising high school 9th grader, and I have a rising 6th grader, so a current 5th grader at Churchill. And this is my 2nd term on the school board for District 153. And I'm excited to be here.
District 153 has always been well regarded in the community. I think 85% passage rate of the first referendum reflects that. What do you attribute that positive attitude to?
I think the story of this community is that the common thread that we have is the education of our children. So whether we've moved back to the community or we've had our eyes on it growing up in local communities, I think we bond around our children and making the best decision and providing the best environment for them.
Yeah, I'll add, I have personally worked in college admissions for the last 20 years, mostly in the Chicagoland area. So I was very familiar with the Homewood education community through that, through my experience of reading college applications of high school students. And so I think that's where Homewood really came on our radar. I'm not originally from Homewood. I grew up in Blue Island, so close by. But knowing and seeing from that lens of the work that I did, we were living in the city at the time that we had our first child, but knowing that we maybe didn't want to stay in the city, and knowing what a strong education program was here in Homewood is really what brought us here. And I think what we thought we were getting in the education system has turned out to be true. And I think a lot of that has been with the experience that we have had as parents, or I've had as a parent with the teachers that we've had, the interactions with administrators, the experiences that our children have been able to have as students in this district. I think just having the amount of opportunities that students are able to have here is really incredible. And I think you talk to other parents and you hear similar things. And so I think, the perspective that I had and that insight from my job experience has just turned out to be true.
Thank you. I can recall interviewing someone on the technology staff when he retired last year. He had been here for 20 plus years. He talked about how When he started, there were no computers, and of course, then we updated everything, and then COVID, every child ended up with a tablet. That's a major change that we've seen. What changes in the physical plant are you anticipating in the district in the next 10 years?
I think that as a board, we have to prioritize the needs of the district. And in this case, we want to remain current with technology that's going to best serve our students and continue to drive academic excellence. So, that begins by taking inventory of where we are and being upfront and transparent about our facilities, our resources, and really getting an understanding for what our classroom teachers feel that they need to provide the best level of instruction. As things do progress and evolve, as more technology is implemented, not to take away from paper, pen, book, kind of old school reading the novel, if you will, but to make sure that our students are meeting the standard with what's needed to be successful, competitive, marketable when they leave the district.
I think it's always going to be important for us to teach kids, what technology is out there and how to use it responsibly. I was just at a conference and everybody was talking about AI, and it's still a little abstract to me understanding, but I feel like that's something that's going to start in terms of teaching students how to use it. And I don't know if it'll move its way into education, but understanding how to use that responsibly and effectively.
Thank you. I know one thing people say makes District 153 special is its specials. It's arts, it's music, it's STEM lab, and it's shop classes. They aren't part of English language arts and math curriculum, but I think people would want them to continue. Is there anything you would like to see the board do to maintain those specials? They are costly. We have a parent music association to try and help balance some of those costs. Are there any additional things that the district may be able to do?
Well, we are going to continue to explore all options for an increase of revenue so that we aren't spread as thin as we are. But we also take pride in making certain that the understanding of teaching to the whole child and having those options is just as important as English, math, science, because they provide outlets for students, they provide a different way of thinking for students, they provide a world of exposure through music, the arts, through the trades that lend to, again, them having opportunities beyond District 153.
Yeah, and I would say even, I agree with what Broderick says. I think those specials give students different ways to also build community within the schools in a different way. That I think you hope that every student sort of finds their place in your school district. And I feel like definitely as a music parent and someone involved in the Parent Music Association, like those students in particular, you really see them find their place and be able to just the growth that they have from, for our orchestra students starting as fourth graders and their first performance, they're like plucking the strings. They maybe even haven't made it yet to learning how to use that bow, but then you see our eighth graders and seventh grade orchestra students who just almost had perfect scores at their regional competition. It's incredible, I think, and to give students opportunities to grow like that and challenge themselves and also build those communities, I think are invaluable to also helping them in other areas of that might be considered more academic.
Thank you. Do you feel that the district is on sound footing as far as its tax revenue?
Sound footing is tricky. because I think if we all were honest, there's many districts that benefit from local businesses and their input into that general fund by way of the taxes. So I think we do a really good job at what we have, albeit somewhat disappointing that we don't mirror other districts in terms of the business revenue that we could generate.
You know, Becky and I were just recently involved with the referendum that successfully passed in our community, and we appreciate, you know, the input, that extra input from taxpayers, but also understand the strain that it's put on the strain that it's specifically combined with the different changes that Cook County has made are significant on taxpayers, and I think it's important for us as a board to be accountable to those taxpayers and spend that money responsibly and not take it for granted, because I know it's been a significant hit to I think that the incremental change from the referendum, along with the different restructuring of taxes, increasing the burden, if I'm saying this correctly, increasing the burden on homeowners or, you know, residential taxes has been a very significant change in the past year or two for this community.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I'm not currently a board member, so I'm running for a first term on the board, but as a resident of Homewood, I've absolutely felt the increases in in how our taxes changed this past year, and had to make some, personal financial decisions because of that. And so I think, like to what Christine and Broderick said, I think we definitely recognize that, I think everyone wishes that they had more to work with, but also understand that I think coming into this position, what I'm most concerned about is seeing how we can best use the revenue that we have currently and what we can do with that, because people are under strain right now too. And I think as board members, I would be accountable to the community, which includes people that have students in the district and people that don't, that happen to live in our district and don't have children. And so I think just being mindful of how we're using that revenue, I think is a very, very important part, and being aware of that is a very important part of this position.
Thank you. Superintendent McAllister is retiring in June of 2026. You've hired a search firm to go out and find our next superintendent. What qualities are you looking for as the search begins?
I think for me, communication is such an important skill. And I think that is going to be a top quality of someone who is able to communicate clearly and authentically with our community, with our families, with our students, in order to create a sense of trust. Because I feel like when you have that trust in someone that's leading your district, then that is so important to the decisions that are being made, and being able to communicate the different decisions, because not everyone's going to agree with the decisions that are being made. You're not going to make everyone happy all the time, but if you're able to communicate why and how those decisions are being made, I think that goes a very, very long way. So I think the ability to communicate well with the members of our community is going to be key.
Yeah, I think that, there's big shoes to fill. I think generally people are very satisfied with Dr. McAllister. And my kind of silly, wicked reference whenever, in popular, they say an especially great communicator, and it always makes me think of Dr. McAllister. But I think that finding a good communicator and a good listener, I think, is really, really important, because I think to communicate, but also to hear people's needs and to hear staff's needs. And I think that right now, just strong leadership with the difficulties in just the teaching profession and teacher shortages, to have a really strong leader who can make people want to work for them and make people want to work at our district, I think. And I think that's important for us as a board too, to be a board that people want to, that teachers and as a potential superintendent want to work for, but also, but yeah, makes people feel heard and understands or wants, either already understands our community or is here to learn about our community.
Yeah, I certainly echo that the new superintendent is going to have some pretty big shoes to fill, because we have someone that is communicative, that is personable, that is empathetic, that values diversity of both thought and culture that our community represents, and that can come in and lead the district with their lived experience, with their professional experience, but really be in tune with the needs of the community. And hopefully, Dr. McAllister is like a family member of the community that happens to work for the community. I've known him for 15 of the 20 years I've been in education, and all these adjectives just are fitting. It's not just because he's been those things. And our community deserves those things. So we are looking for, all those qualities in the next superintendent, as well as perhaps some new ideas and some new initiatives to take us to the next level. And again, academic excellence is the goal, while also considering the needs of all of our children, and really keeping in mind, again, the diversity of thought and culture that our community represents.
Well, I want to thank you, the three of you, for coming, and I wish you the best of luck. April 1st, we ask people to go out and vote for school board, village board, park board, library board, and township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.